Hi, everyone. Welcome to A Word with Kellie Scott Reed. We are here with Gavin Turner today. Welcome, Gavin.
Oh,
Gavin is the author of The Round Journey that's just out, hot off the presses. Very excited for it. And this book is a reflection on the circular journeys of this life. Gavin is from Wigan, England, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about that if you'd shed some light on Wigan.
yeah, no problem. So what do you say about this town? Um, Famous, of course, for the Orwell book, The Road to Wigan Pier. Although I don't think you realise it's not really a pier, seeing as we're kind of landlocked. And it was all based around. It's a bit of a joke, really. So you come into Wigan, and you've got big coal industry, and it was basically a turning point on a canal. And it was like a jetty that juts out into the canal. So it's like, well, here you are at Wigan Pier. And also George Formby as well. That's the other famous musician with the banjolele you might have heard of. If not, he's a music hall giant from the 30s and 40s. So it's just north of Manchester, which is one of the big, probably big cultural meccas in North England, and it's got quite a thriving poetry scene as well, which is really good. I only discovered that in the last few months, so it's been good to get down there and meet a few of the northern poets.
We're on a canal as well. The town that I am on is a canal as well.
Yeah,
And there is something about a canal town that peaked in the 30s and 40s. We had Kodak and George Eastman and all that other stuff, film get developed here. And then that kind of all went away and different things had to come in to fill its place. And it has never quite hit that heyday. It's funny you should mention that musical artist comes from there.
yeah, and
Uh,
I think one of the things from the book is in many ways you're kind of surrounded by water and nature and all these things in history, and it's all kind of circles round the whole village that I live in, which is kind of just in the north part of Wigan. And so all the poems in the book are basically individual spots all the way round, so you can actually walk round to each of the spots as poems. And you can also see, we've got there's 12 poems in the book. So again, it's what I like to do is kind of layer things up. So the 12 poems is almost like the time element. So you've got the clock, the elements of time for 12, and then you've got the kind of the next layer of the journey itself, the physical journey, and then the kind of historical elements to the poems as well. So there's quite a lot of kind of steps in that process, really.
wow, that's really interesting. Very cool. So you're taking us around your area through your poetry, the history. That's very cool. That's very cool.
So
I
it's
love
kind of I suppose if you lived here, you might see it differently, but then that's kind of the point, that everyone picks up that different element from what you do, and each spot inspires a poem, but each spot is about, well, either a place or a found object. So, for example, the poem Meteor, there was a meteor landed in the village, 1930, something like that, but just this idea of something just burying itself into the landscape, and then kind of reaction to that is that, and also statues and other things that you'll know about if you've read it. So yeah, it's and I think it came as a bit of a surprise because I'm quite new to publishing and sending things out. And Alien Buddha picked it up and said, "Yeah, we're gonna publish this." And then when I got off the floor after, going,
That's
"Really?"
awesome.
um,
Like peeled you up. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. So
So you're new. I'll get to the questions in a moment. I just want to know, like, how did you get back into? Did you take a break from writing, or did you just start writing?
I think I mean, I wrote quite a lot when I was younger, and then I think, like for a lot of people, things happen in your life, and your career takes over, and you do other things. And I've kind of like dabbled in it a little bit of every couple of years, and you go back to it and go, oh, I'll just do a little bit more. And then, you know, you go, oh, why am I doing that? It's worthless. It's pointless. You know, what's the point doing that? And then I think probably pandemic and everything else just kind of kicks in, and you say, well, at the age that I'm at, if I don't do something, then, you know, you're going to regret it, because you're going to regret having not at least tried. And I think if we go back to when I was submitting things before, and maybe 20 years ago, something like that, it's a very, very different process now, because apart from anything else, we didn't have the internet. So if you're sending something for publication, it's going, you know, in the post. And then you're kind of waiting and you think, well, that may have got there, it may not have got there. They may reply, they may not. And I think there's just a bit more of an immediacy now to what we're doing. And I think that's one of the reasons I like this press, because, you know, you get that from the press, you get the enthusiasm out, you realize, you know, in the responses, everyone's like, yeah, that's great, get it, I want that in now, you know, and that's that comes across, I think, and that's why you can see so many of the great writers you've got are going in, and it's like a little gang. It's great. Like I've joined a gang.
I've always wanted a gang. Yeah. I actually said to my husband once, I could never be a member of a gang because I can't take orders. And he said, yeah, but you could be the head of a gang. I said, that's kind of true, but I'm not the head of this gang. Tiffany's the head of this gang. She's the only person I will follow. She's the only one. All right. So when could you describe for us a time in your life when you realized that language had power?
Yeah, I think probably in a couple of ways. And I've thought about this question, was even from early reading and picking up early books, and it's going to sound a bit daft, but from the stuff that I sent out, but a lot of the stuff I did earlier is very kind of traditional, like rhyming poetry and ballad type poetry. And one of the things I've always been able to do is get that kind of really, really tight rhyme schemes. And I think that comes from, I think very early on, you know, the Dr. Seuss book, Green Eggs and Ham. So I had that every night for like 6 months. I insisted, because, and everyone hated this book, but I just couldn't get enough of it, because I just thought it was just, I think it was just because of the rhythm of it and the musicality of that type of poetry, it just hits you, that you think, God, you know, how can you not be interested in seeing how that plays out, or how that story plays out. So any poetry like that really kind of took, you know, kind of triggered something. I don't know, just made me think I really enjoy it, and I wanted to copy it. And I thought, God, if you could just do something like that, yeah, it was that was one kind of trigger, I think. And I don't know. It's where words and languages kind of evoke an emotion, and for me, like my preferred is kind of that humor, or that kind of dark humor element to it. You might have probably seen that in a couple of the pieces I've done, but that just being able to kind of evoke a reaction in someone, even if that's not always a positive one, I think that's where you can see like the power of language, because the way in which you say it, or the way in which it connects with another person is, you know, I think that's what we're trying to do, really, isn't it? We're trying to make connections all the time with other people, and with you know, with what we say, and that really kind of hit home for me. That's something you could maybe do. That's why I kind of like the going to the spoken word events as well, because it isn't just the words themselves. I think it's the way in which it's delivered. You know, you can say the same thing in lots of different ways, and it means different things. And I think some of the some of the ones in the book, I think definitely poems for the page, but maybe the ones that I'd go and take to a poetry event might be, you need to hear it. Definitely to hear these things out loud. And it should be spoken. It should be done more. I think there should be more spoken word events going on, because there's some really good poets out there, and there's not always the forum for them to kind of express themselves.
I really love speaking things. I always, when I'm actually reading people's pieces, I like to say them out loud. That's kind of how I like to digest anyway. And obviously, I think before people could even read, they were creating art and literature. They just were doing it spoken word. And I think what you're saying about rhyming, do you know who John, David Rakov is? You're not going to say
John Cooper Clarke?
No, David Rakov. Have you heard of him?
No, I don't think I have.
He's an American writer. He passed away a couple years ago. He wrote a book completely in rhyme, and I will get the title because I can never remember the title, and I will send it to you. You'll love it. It's brilliant, and it's just like you said. It's a novel done hundreds of pages in complete rhyme, and it was his last work before he passed away. And I think it's important that you read it, especially since you're talking about rhyme and spoken word and speaking it out loud, saying it out loud. I've heard him read from it, and it's incredible. Thank you for that answer. I am definitely going to send that to you.
Thank you.
Second question. Sorry, I have to look at my questions. My memory is so bad lately. It's been a wild week.
Yeah.
What do you feel the most important elements of good writing are?
I think it goes back to what I said before. I think there has to be some sort of hook that throws you in a different direction, something that you don't expect. And again, that triggering just that, where are they going with this? That kind of intrigue. I think I would hate that someone would say about, writing this. So it's, it's okay. I'd rather they say, I hate that. I hate it so much. Never show me that again. I'd rather they say that or love it than be somewhere in the middle. And I think there's those in terms of stories, is that for me, it has to have that humorous element to it. It has to have something that makes you laugh, or even if it's really dark, because I think the not two ends of the spectrum. Sometimes there's a lot of humor even in dark parts of horror or stories like that. You can almost feel like you almost want to laugh because it's so scary. And I think I've been reading a lot of Brian Evenson recently, and that really kind of hits that mark for me as well. He'll just throw this story in about a girl who's like she's not got a face and she's just got two backs to her own head or something, and you're kind of going, I want to go inside your brain and work out what's going on there, because there's something not right going on there. But it challenges you as well, doesn't it, to kind of think, well, as a writer, you've got to be brave. You've got to put stuff out there that you think, I don't know if this is any good or if this is going to hit or connect with anybody else. And I've either been lucky or I've hit the right note with a couple of people, which, and a couple of the acceptances I've had recently, I'm starting, I think, just to start finding what my voice is as a writer, which might seem a bit strange, but actually it's, well, what do you enjoy writing? What do you really like writing about? What characters do you like to develop, and what do you want to do with them? And I think that takes a bit of time. I think it's difficult to find your own niche, your own space.
That's interesting. Are you finding your space? Are you getting there, or are you just still the exploratory, where you're going in different directions and doing different things?
I think there's a few pieces that I've got out recently, which are along the same ilk, let's say. I think those are starting to give us that. I'll give me that that kind of style that I want to get. It almost feels like a bit Alan Bennett, but a bit darker than that. So I like the kind of implied elements of a story. So rather than you don't have to express it, you can just kind of put the image in someone's head and let them do the rest of the work. I think the couple of pieces I've had with yourself, which you kind of do that. You say, like, I don't describe the character, I just say what people think of him, and then you draw what you think about what that person looks like, or how they behave, or how they'd act. So yeah, I think I'm getting there, but it's slow progress, because you've got other things to do. If I could do it all the time, then I would, but unfortunately we have to work, and we have to do
work
and
no.
And take them places and taxi them to wherever they want to go, and it's it all kind of impacts on your time and your space to kind of concentrate on something as well for long enough.
Exactly. So with that, does writing energize you or exhaust you?
I think I get the energy from those moments. And I think on one of the other ones of these you were talking about Stephen King's On Writing, and great book. And I think he talks about these having like these almost like comic book moments of like, I get the idea and it's like, pow, wow, that sort of the kind of bubble writing that you get on those on cartoons, and you get a lot of energy from that, I think, and it drives you on to kind of, I'm going to do something more with this, I'm going to spend a bit more time on this. I think because those are kind of like snatched moments to try and get some writing down, that makes it more challenging, because that's almost like a pressure. You go like, I've got to write this now. You're like, yeah, I know, but the kids need to get to here like in like 20 minutes. Like, yeah, I know, it'll be fine, So you're trying to just balance all those things together. But I do a lot of thinking about things before, and kind of like you mull them over. Particularly like dog walks is great for doing that. Because you're just on your own, and they don't interrupt your thought pattern. They just like look at you. What are you doing? That gives you that bit of space just to get to where you want to with a poem or with a piece of writing, I think.
What made you begin writing in the first place? Like what was the catalyst before you took your break? What was the catalyst for you to start writing? What drove you there?
So kind of before I started again, I think I did a module at uni on creative writing, and the lady who ran the course, a lady called Carol Coates, who is a published poet as well, and I think that kind of spurred you on to think, oh, maybe I can do something like that, or at least use that opportunity of someone who's got things out in the world and written books and so on, to kind of express my own voice. And she was very encouraging, when we were there. And I think it's just meeting some of those people along the line. So occasionally you just come across someone like that, and I met Ian McMillan when I was at uni as well, and that was a really good inspiration. He's a Barnsley poet, a very northern poet. He's more northern than me, if you can imagine that. And then I think more recently, as I mentioned before, it was a couple of years ago, I went to see John Cooper Clarke, who, the punk poet, and I mean, he was, as he is, always great, but he also had someone who was supporting him called Mike Gary, and that really inspired me to think about doing things differently. And his poetry style is all similar, but the kind of like the musicality and the rhythm of it, and just a different approach to how you go about pulling a poem together was, just thought it was amazing. I just thought it was just a great thing to watch. If you get a chance to see some of his poems on YouTube, he's unbelievable, really.
So our last question is who your literary hero is. Would he be one of them?
I think for poetry, yes. I think the thing that that I do notice with some of these guys is it's kind of like the self-assuredness and the self-confidence that comes, I think, with time and confidence in your own materials. And I know that works. I know I'm a good, I know I can do this. I know I'm a good writer. And I don't think you can kind of see it when you go to the poetry events. You can see the people who've been there a long time. You can see the people who know what they're doing and they know how to send the poem out there. And I think it's definitely something like you'd aspire to be. And I mean, you're never going to be as cool as John Cooper Clarke is, but but you can but hope.
Who else would you consider a literary hero?
There's a few in terms of writing. I probably think he's probably less known for writing, but maybe film plays is Bruce Robinson, who is you may have seen with Nail and I, the British film, and it's I mean, to give you an idea, it's two guys go on holiday by mistake, and it stems from there. It's a bit of a cult classic. It's probably more of a British thing. But his style of writing and even some of the short books that he did. I remember reading Paranoia in the Laundrette, which is it's a novella, but it's just it's got that edge of humor that I thought I'd really like to kind of copy exactly, but kind of parody, if you like. And I think he starts a book with something like, I've been carrying a knife around because I'm for the last couple of weeks because I'm scared of being murdered. And I just thought that's the sort of thing I was saying before. It just kind of, a line like that can really grab you because you're thinking, but you are the one with the knife, Right. So you kind of go, yeah. whoa, what's and you're straight into the story then. And
that's like the dynamite in the room. What was it, Hitchcock, that says that suspense isn't like, it's just knowing that the bomb is there. Like, that his knife is there. That's what's going to cause all the problems, and you get to see it all unfold. It does catch you. That's really cool. And you said his name was again? I have to write this stuff down now.
So he's called Bruce Robinson. He's done quite a few things, really. I think he was involved in the they'll say Wither was his main film, and Richard E. Grant and I can only think of the character's name, but each of these characters, again, what they say and what they mean by that is very, very different. But he based the main character is based on a friend of his, I think, who when he was a young actor, he stayed in his in the same house with him, and he just used that space. But yeah, looking up, and I remember seeing him talking about writing and saying, well, he always used the typewriter because he liked the idea of just being able to, if it was terrible, he could just, burn it or throw wine on it or something like that. Just, destroy what he created, but then maybe bring it back again as well. So, yeah.
There's definitely something tangible about the typewriter. Both, we talked about it a while ago about just the sound. Like, I have the dumb typewriter sound on my iPad just so I can hear a sound, a tangible thing. And then that sound of ripping it out. And back in the day when you had to use like whiteout when you made mistakes and stuff like that, this just very physical relationship with the process of writing.
Yeah,
I kind of miss that.
It's funny. Only today I pulled out an old book out of the loft. Just some stuff I used to do with journals and write notes and things for writing in there. And I found that, and even the look of the paper, because I could tell it was done on one of those. It wasn't quite like a typewriter, but it would have been like a word processor. You know, you had a little tiny screen, and then you have to like complete the document and then hope that it was all correct and just, you know, let it print itself out. But it did still have that clack about it. And yeah, then the other thing now is it just reminds me of Misery. As soon as you hear it, you're thinking, oh God.
That's too funny. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for volunteering. I think one of the reasons that I love doing it, and Tiffany and Marianne like to do this, is it's so interesting to find people who, from all different parts of the world, who come at writing from such a different way. Each person is unique, but we all have this kind of cool tie where I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar. That makes sense. So it's really nice to make human connection in a time where it's kind of virtual. And like you said, we have this kind of weird friendship. We don't know each other, but we comment on our stuff and congratulations and, oh, look at your kids. And, oh, that sounds great. You know, this kind of thing.
And I think that's, from my limited experience, that's fairly unique in this kind of environment, because a lot of what you get from presses is you'll send something and they'll go, you know, back, and that's pretty much what you'll get. It's just just a quick response back, nothing. And the enthusiasm that comes out of the three of you for this, you know, this work that you're doing, and on all these different ideas that come out, I just don't see that anywhere else. And that's not to say that there aren't other presses who are doing great stuff. It's just it's very friendly, it's very approachable. And you know, if I see anyone who's saying, oh, I don't know where to send things, it's like, I know where you can send it, because
that's so nice.
And it gives us that like you said, because you can see those other people who are also in the press, and then you can kind of make friends with them on Twitter because you got that connection. You're like, we all kind of get it, I think. And that's the unique thing about it. And obviously been very supportive to me in publishing my nonsense about Stephen Parcel and so on.
Your favorite person. That was so funny. I'm like, no clue who that is. I'm Googling, and it's like a construction guy down the road. And I'm like, I can't be who he's talking about.
No, so no, he's I think he's probably a concoction of a number of elements of different people. And that's the tie-in with the surname, really. It's a parcel of like bile, if you like, and things that you just despise about the way people are. He may well be popping up in another press very, very soon. When you know, I'll tell you after.
Please do. Oh, Gavin, thank you so much for joining us and for the wonderful work, your wonderful words. That was very kind.
No problem.
And we hope we'll see more of you. And we'll pick up this book. I got everything written down. I can't see my chicken scratch.
Plug. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I also love the cover. It's gorgeous.
So again, another place, just I just happened to walk past at the right time of night, out with my dog, and it was just there, sat behind the tree. The sun's just there, sat behind the tree. I thought, I've got to have that. And and then it's ended up on my first book.
That's awesome. And what kind of dog do you have? I have to ask.
She's a Labrador.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's
a good companion.
Yeah, she's a lovely dog.
Thank you so much, Gavin. I hope you have a great day. And this will be posted on a Word Wednesday in probably like 2 weeks, but I'll let you know.
Brilliant. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks. See you soon.
Bye-bye.